Gunfire echoed across Devil's Ridge as Wade Harding pressed his back against the boulder, blood seeping through his shirt where the bullet had grazed his shoulder. 3 Blackstone riders had him pinned, their horses pawing at the ground 50 yards below. Maxwell Reed sat tall in his saddle at the center, his silver-trimmed vest catching the dying light. 8 months running, Harding, Reed called out, his voice carrying up the ridge. Your brother learned the price of defiance. Today you join him. Wade checked his Colt single-action army. 4 rounds left. The familiar weight felt like an extension of his arm, a constant companion since the war at Antietam. His brother's final words haunted him daily. Find the truth, Wade. Get justice. Gritting his teeth against the pain, Wade spun from behind the boulder. Fired twice in rapid succession. The first shot caught a rider in the chest, sending him tumbling from his saddle. The second kicked up dirt at Reed's feet, forcing him to retreat. Using the momentary confusion, Wade rolled down the embankment opposite his attackers, whistled sharp for his horse, and disappeared into the gathering darkness. Reed's voice carried after him. You can run, Harding, but Devil's Ridge belongs to me now. Every acre, every claim. This was their 3rd encounter since the night Wade's ranch burned with James inside. Each time Reed brought more men. Each time Wade escaped by narrower margins. This cat-and-mouse game couldn't continue forever. 3 weeks later, Wade guided his wagon along the winding trail toward his new beginning. The deed to the cabin sat folded in his breast pocket, the last gamble of a desperate man. Every possession he still owned rattled in the back. Tools, supplies, ammunition, and painful memories. The Winchester 73 rested across his lap, its wood grain polished smooth from years of handling. Wade had carried it through the war, through bloodier battles than most men would ever know. Now it protected him from Reed's relentless pursuit. As the trail curved around a stand of pines, Wade caught his first glimpse of the cabin. Sturdy logs, stone chimney, small covered porch. Better than he'd expected. But something was wrong. Smoke curled from the chimney, rising lazy against the azure sky. Someone was inside. Wade's jaw tightened as he secured the wagon. Every dollar he had left in the world had gone into this place. After losing the family ranch to Reed's arson, after burying what remained of James, this cabin represented his only chance to rebuild. He wouldn't lose it without a fight. The Colt slid smoothly from its holster as Wade approached the door. Through the single window, he caught movement inside. Without knocking, he pushed the door open and stepped inside. The cabin was clean, well-maintained, with unexpected touches of comfort. Fresh wildflowers sat in a jar on the rough-hewn table. But what stopped Wade cold was the woman standing by the fireplace, a double-barrel shotgun aimed squarely at his chest. Take one more step and I'll cut you in half, she said, her voice steady despite the surprise that flashed across her face. Her auburn hair caught the afternoon light, but it was her eyes that commanded attention. Green, defiant, and haunted by something Wade recognized all too well. Fear. Wade kept his Colt level. Ma'am, I believe you're trespassing in my cabin. Your cabin? She almost laughed, though there was no humor in it. This land belongs to the Winters family. Not anymore. Wade slowly reached into his pocket with his free hand, removed the deed. Purchased it legal and proper 3 weeks ago from a prospector named Gentry. The woman, still holding the shotgun with unwavering precision, studied him. She wore a simple blue dress that had seen better days, but carried herself with quiet dignity. You're Wade Harding, she said finally. Not a question, but a realization. Wade stiffened. How do you know my name? Because your brother James told me you might come. She lowered the shotgun slightly but kept it ready. I'm Sarah Winters. My husband was Marshall Tyler Winters. Was? Maxwell Reed had him killed 6 months ago. The words fell like stones between them. Same as your brother. Wade holstered his pistol slowly, pieces falling into place. Everyone in 3 counties had heard about Marshall Winters' death, officially an accident during a pursuit. Unofficial whispers told a different story. Mrs. Winters, I don't know what connection you had to my brother, but this cabin is legally mine now. Sarah set the shotgun aside and knelt, prying up a floorboard beneath a threadbare rug. From the hiding place, she withdrew a leather-bound journal and a stack of documents. James bought this cabin for its strategic location, she explained, spreading a map across the table. It sits directly above Reed's illegal gold mine on Apache land. The map showed a network of tunnels beneath the ridge, connecting to a larger mining operation hidden from government inspectors. Sarah pointed to penciled notations in James's handwriting. Your brother and my husband were working together. Tyler gathered evidence of Reed's bribes to judges and officials. James documented the illegal mining operation and land seizures. Her voice caught. When Reed discovered what they were doing, he had them both killed. Wade examined the journal, finding columns of numbers, names, dates, property transfers, payments to officials, deaths marked with small crosses. Why are you still here? Wade asked. This is the first place Reed would look. I've been moving between safe houses for months, Sarah explained. But Reed's men found my last hiding place in Spencer Creek. This cabin was my only option. I knew about the escape tunnel James installed. Before Wade could respond, the distant sound of horses reached them. Sarah's face went pale. They've followed me. She moved quickly, returning the documents to their hiding place. Reed has informants everywhere. Someone in town must have recognized me. Wade checked his ammunition, mind racing through options. How many men does Reed usually travel with? 4 or 5. His foreman Donovan, they call him the Fox, leads them. Cavalry deserter, mean as they come. Through the trees, Wade counted 5 riders approaching. The lead rider was unmistakable. Maxwell Reed in his signature black coat, silver spurs catching the fading light. Beside him rode a lean, scarred man with a cavalry-style mustache. Donovan. Mr. Harding, Sarah said quietly, I understand this is your property now, but if you turn me over to them, Reed will kill us both anyway. He can't afford witnesses. Wade checked his Colt, then the Winchester. 12 shots between them. Mrs. Winters, I've got no quarrel with Reed's business dealings. My concern is justice for my brother. Then we want the same thing. Sarah retrieved her shotgun. That journal proves Reed ordered both murders. The riders halted outside. Boot steps crossed the porch. Without knocking, the door swung open, revealing Maxwell Reed. Early 50s, beard trimmed neat, eyes cold as a rattlesnake's. The gold chain of a pocket watch glinted across his brocade vest. Well now, Reed's voice dripped with mock surprise. Wade Harding. Still alive after our little chase last week. His gaze shifted to Sarah. And the grieving widow Winters. What a touching reunion. This is private property, Reed, Wade said evenly. You're trespassing. Reed laughed, genuinely amused. Private property? Boy, I own every inch of Devil's Ridge. The judge signed the papers yesterday. He stepped forward, confidence radiating from him. But I'm a reasonable man. Mrs. Winters has something that belongs to me. Once she returns it, you're both free to leave. I'm not going anywhere with you, Reed. Sarah's voice was steel. And neither are Tyler's papers. Reed's smile vanished. That wasn't a request, Sarah. He motioned to Donovan and the others waiting outside. Search the cabin. Find the ledger. Wade raised his Winchester. Nobody's searching anything. Reed's eyes narrowed, focusing on Wade with newfound interest. His hand moved to his vest pocket, withdrew a gold pocket watch. You recognize this, Harding. Found it on your brother before we strung him up. The world seemed to stop. Wade recognized the watch instantly. Their father had carried it through the Mexican War, had given it to James on his 21st birthday. The proof Wade had been searching for stood before him, dangling his brother's watch like a trophy. "You just signed your death warrant, Reed," Wade said, voice deadly calm. Reed smiled again, malice gleaming in his eyes. "Boys," he called to his men, "burn it down. Let's see how the lady and her protector enjoy the flames." Donovan stepped forward with a burning torch. Outside, the other men circled the cabin, rifles ready. Sarah moved beside Wade, shotgun raised. "Last chance to walk away, Mr. Harding. This isn't your fight." But as Wade watched Reed pocket his brother's watch, he knew there would be no walking away. It is now. The sun had set over Devil's Ridge, painting the cabin in lengthening shadows. Wade and Sarah had spent the last hour fortifying their position, overturning the table for cover, filling buckets with water from the barrel, loading every available weapon. Through the windows, they could see Reed's men establishing a perimeter, waiting for full darkness. 4 men outside, plus Reed, Wade observed, checking the firing mechanism on his Winchester. Donovan's taking position behind the woodpile. 2 men by the big pine, one circling toward the back. Sarah worked methodically, tearing strips of cloth for bandages. "Reed won't rush in. He'll try to burn us out first. You seem to know his tactics well. I was married to the law in this county for 8 years. Sarah's hands never stopped moving. I know how evil operates." Wade noticed the protective way she occasionally placed her hand over her abdomen when she moved. "You're carrying," he stated quietly. Sarah met his gaze directly. "Tyler never knew. I found out a week after they killed him." The revelation changed everything. Wade wasn't just defending a woman in a cabin anymore. He was protecting an unborn child, an innocent who deserved a chance at life. "How good are you with that shotgun?" he asked. "Good enough. My father was a hunter, taught me to shoot before I could read." Wade nodded, respect growing. "When I give the signal, aim for the woodpile. The shotgun spread will force Donovan to move. Give me a clear shot." As darkness settled completely, a burning arrow arced through the night sky, landing on the cabin roof. The dry wood caught immediately. "Now!" Wade shouted. Sarah fired at the woodpile, forcing Donovan to abandon his position. Wade took careful aim and fired, catching one of Reed's men in the shoulder. For 30 chaotic seconds, gunfire erupted from all sides. A bullet splintered the door frame inches from Wade's head while Sarah doused the flames on the roof. "They're trying to surround us," Wade warned, spotting movement along the tree line. Sarah rushed to the rear window, fired her shotgun at a shadow attempting to circle behind them. A pained shout confirmed her aim was true. "Wade!" she called urgently. "The floor!" She lifted the corner of the rug, revealing a trap door built into the floorboards. James installed it. A mining tunnel runs beneath the cabin. As another flaming arrow hit the roof, Wade made a decision. "Gather the journal and ammunition. We're changing positions." Sarah worked quickly, collecting their supplies while Wade kept Reed's men pinned with occasional shots. The fire on the roof was spreading, smoke beginning to filter through the ceiling boards. "Go first," Wade instructed, lifting the trap door to reveal a ladder descending into darkness. "I'll cover our retreat." As Sarah disappeared into the tunnel, Wade noticed a small metal box beneath the bed that he hadn't seen before. Acting on instinct, he grabbed it, then fired 3 final shots through different windows to confuse their attackers before descending into the tunnel. Darkness enveloped him momentarily before Sarah lit a lantern waiting on a small shelf. The tunnel stretched before them, shored up with old mining timbers. "James knew Reed would come eventually," Sarah explained, leading the way. "This tunnel connects to a vertical shaft about 100 yards ahead. It leads to a hidden exit in the hillside." Above them, muffled voices indicated Reed's men had entered the burning cabin. They had minutes at most before their escape route would be discovered. Wade examined the metal box he'd grabbed. Inside lay a folded map and a letter in James's handwriting. For Wade, if you're reading this, I didn't make it. Everything you need is marked here. Trust Sarah. Finish what we started. The tunnel began to slope upward. Sarah paused, listening. We're nearly at the shaft. From here, we can either continue to the exit or, Wade prompted. A faint smile crossed Sarah's face, the first he'd seen. Or we can use James's surprise. She pointed to a side passage marked with a small carved X on the support beam. Following her lead, they entered a smaller tunnel that doubled back toward the cabin. After 30 paces, the tunnel opened into a chamber filled with kegs of blasting powder. James set it directly under the clearing in front of the cabin, Sarah explained. He called it his insurance policy. Wade examined the setup, a simple but effective trap, with a long fuse running back along their path. Reed thinks he's got us cornered in a burning cabin. Exactly. Sarah handed him a matchbook. Above them, the sounds of Reed's men grew more frantic as they discovered the trap door. Wade struck a match, touched it to the fuse, watched it sputter to life. Time to move, he said, leading Sarah back toward the main tunnel. They reached the vertical shaft just as Reed's men began descending the ladder into the tunnel beneath the cabin. Wade helped Sarah onto the ladder that climbed the shaft toward freedom. Quick and quiet, he whispered. They ascended in darkness, the lantern extinguished to hide their position. 2 minutes passed as they climbed. As they reached the top, a small door built into the hillside. The first explosion shook the ground beneath them. Wade pushed open the exit door, helped Sarah through, then followed. From their position on the hillside, they witnessed chaos. The ground beneath Reed's horses had collapsed, sending the animals panicking into the trees. 2 of Reed's men lay motionless where solid ground had been moments before. The cabin itself, half consumed by flames, teetered on the edge of the new sinkhole. Reed, Sarah pointed. Maxwell Reed was staggering away from the destruction, dazed but alive. The journal, Wade said to Sarah. Head for the trees. I'll meet you there. Wade, Sarah gripped his arm. Reed's mine too. He killed my husband, threatened my child. Wade saw the determination in her eyes, the same fire that had kept her fighting. Together they circled through the trees, approaching Reed from behind as he shouted for his scattered men. Reed, Wade called, stepping into the open. Looking for this? He held up James' watch, the gold catching the firelight. Reed spun, drawing his pistol with surprising speed for a man his age. But Sarah was faster. Her shotgun roared, the blast catching Reed's right arm, sending his shot wild. Wade closed the distance as Reed stumbled backward, clutching his shattered arm. Harding, Reed gasped. Be reasonable. The gold mine is worth a fortune. We can split it. Wade kicked Reed's fallen pistol away. My brother, tell me how he died. Something like pride flickered in Reed's eyes. Stubborn, like you. Wouldn't sell his water rights. Kept poking around my business, so I made an example of him. Reed spat blood. Strung him up, burned his ranch with him inside. Sarah stepped forward, her shotgun unwavering. And my husband? Reed laughed, a wet, gurgling sound. The good marshal? He should have taken the money like everyone else. Instead, he got righteous. Sarah's finger tightened on the trigger, but Wade stepped between them. No, he said quietly. Not like this. He lowered his rifle, pulled Reed to his feet. He hangs, legally, after everyone knows what he's done. The sound of approaching horses drew their attention. Wade raised his Winchester, expecting more of Reed's men, but the riders emerging from the trees wore badges that caught the moonlight. Federal marshals led by a tall man with a cavalry bearing. Marshal Fletcher, Sarah breathed, recognition in her voice. The lawman surveyed the scene, The burning cabin, the collapsed ground, Reed bleeding between Wade and Sarah. "Mrs. Winters," Fletcher tipped his hat, "got your husband's final telegram 2 days ago. Came as fast as we could." His eyes shifted to Wade. "You must be Harding. Tyler mentioned James's brother might come looking for answers." Wade kept his rifle trained on Reed. "This man murdered my brother and Marshall Winters. We've got proof, ledgers, maps of illegal mining operations, lists of officials he's bribed." Fletcher dismounted, approached with measured steps. "Been after Reed for years. Tyler's evidence finally convinced a federal judge to issue warrants." He studied Reed with cold eyes. "Now we've got him." As deputies secured Reed, Fletcher examined the journal Sarah provided. "This is everything we need. Federal charges, territory charges, enough to put him and his associates away for good." Wade retrieved his brother's watch from Reed's pocket, opened the case to find a small key hidden inside. "What's this for?" he asked, showing Sarah. Her eyes widened. "Tyler had a lockbox at the bank in Spencer Creek. Said it contained something important if anything happened to him." Fletcher nodded. "We'll check it first thing tomorrow. For now, let's get you both to safety." As deputies led Reed to a wagon, the mining baron locked eyes with Wade. "This isn't over, Harding. Men like me don't stay in prison." "You're not going to prison, Reed," Fletcher said matter-of-factly. "With the evidence we have, you're going to the gallows." Wade watched as Reed was taken away. The cabin, now fully engulfed in flames, collapsed into the sinkhole with a tremendous crash, sending sparks spiraling into the night sky. Sarah stood beside him, her face illuminated by the firelight. "What happens now?" Wade opened his brother's watch, ran his thumb over the inscription inside. "To James, stand for what's right. Father, we finish what they started," Wade said simply. 2 months later, Wade stood at the back of a crowded courtroom in Denver as the judge delivered his verdict. Reed sat at the defendant's table, defeated but still defiant, his arm in a sling from Sarah's shotgun blast. "Maxwell Reed," the judge intoned, "this court finds you guilty of the murders of James Harding and Marshall Tyler Winters, as well as multiple counts of bribery, land fraud, and illegal mining operations on federal and native lands." The evidence had been overwhelming. The lockbox at the Spencer Creek Bank had contained sworn affidavits from witnesses who'd seen Reed's men at James's ranch the night of the fire. There were also documents proving Reed had diverted a territorial judge's son from military service in exchange for favorable rulings. "For these crimes," the judge continued, "you are sentenced to hang by the neck until dead, sentenced to be carried out 1 week from today." Reed's face contorted with fury as deputies led him away. His eyes found Wade in the crowd, burning with hatred and something else: fear. Outside the courthouse, Marshal Fletcher approached Wade and Sarah. "Justice is served, but there's more work to be done. Reed's operation was extensive. We've arrested 3 corrupt officials so far, but his network runs deeper." "What about the mine?" Wade asked. "Being shut down. The land will be returned to the Apache tribe it was stolen from." Fletcher hesitated, then continued. "Spencer Creek needs a new sheriff, someone who knows the difference between law and justice." Wade leaned against the courthouse pillar. "I've had my fill of fighting." "This territory's changing," Fletcher pressed. "People need someone looking out for them." Sarah, standing beside Wade, placed a hand on her growing belly. "Tyler always said a good lawman was worth 10 good laws." Wade looked between them, then out at the bustling Denver street. His brother's final letter had asked him to finish what they started. Perhaps this was how. 1 week later, Wade stood on the gallows platform as a witness to Reed's execution. The morning was cold, breath fogging in the air as officials read the death warrant. Reed, hands bound before him, scanned the crowd until his eyes locked with Wade's. "Any last words?" the executioner asked. Reed straightened his shoulders, ever the businessman to the end. "This changes nothing, Harding. My partners will continue what I started. Devil's Ridge will never be yours. The trap door dropped. Justice, such as it was, had been served. But Wade found no satisfaction in watching Reed's final moments. Only a grim sense that one chapter had ended while another was beginning. Sarah waited at the bottom of the platform. "It's over," she said softly. Wade shook his head. "Not yet." He handed her a telegram that had arrived that morning from Marshall Fletcher. Reed's partner spotted near Mexican border, gathering men, trouble brewing. 3 months after the hanging, Wade stood on the porch of the rebuilt cabin, watching the sun rise over Devil's Ridge. The new construction stood 50 yards from where the original had collapsed, built stronger with a proper stone foundation. The sound of approaching hoofbeats drew his attention. Marshall Fletcher rode up the trail, dismounting with the easy grace of a career lawman. "Sheriff Harding," Fletcher greeted him, eyeing the badge now pinned to Wade's vest. "How's Spencer Creek treating its new lawman?" "Settling in," Wade replied. "Arrested 2 of Reed's former associates last week, trying to intimidate miners near the creek." Fletcher removed his hat, wiped sweat from his brow. "That's why I'm here. Reports confirm Reed's former partner, Victor Blackwood, is gathering a small army along the border. Word is he's planning to reclaim Reed's mining operations." The cabin door opened as Sarah stepped outside, her pregnancy in its final month. She'd stayed after the trial, helping Wade rebuild. What had begun as an alliance for survival had grown into something neither had expected to find again: trust, companionship, love. "Victor Blackwood?" she asked, concern evident in her voice. "He was Reed's banker. Handled all the money. And twice as dangerous," Fletcher added. "He's smart, connected. Reed was just the public face." Wade looked out at the land that had cost so much blood. His hand moved instinctively to the badge on his chest, then to his brother's watch in his pocket. "When do we ride?" he asked Fletcher. 3 days. Meeting a detachment of cavalry in Spencer Creek." Fletcher replaced his hat. "It won't be easy. Blackwood has hired guns. Former soldiers." Wade nodded. "I'll be ready." As Fletcher departed, Sarah moved beside Wade, her hand finding his. "You don't have to go. We have a life here now." Wade gently placed his hand on her belly, felt the child kick against his palm. "That's why I have to go. So this child grows up in a world where men like Reed and Blackwood don't win." Sarah's eyes filled with understanding. "What will we name him, if it's a boy?" "James," Wade said without hesitation. "James Tyler Harding." Sarah smiled, nodding her approval. "And if it's a girl?" "Hope," Wade answered, "because that's what we found here, against all odds." They stood together on the porch, watching the morning light spread across the valley that had nearly claimed their lives. In the distance, an eagle soared over the ridge, free and solitary against the endless sky. Wade had come to Devil's Ridge seeking answers. He'd found something more valuable: purpose. The frontier demanded justice, and justice demanded men willing to stand and deliver it. "My father used to say some purchases turn out to be worth far more than you ever imagined," Wade reflected, his arm around Sarah's shoulders. "This cabin cost me every cent I had left in the world." Sarah leaned against him. "And what did you get in return?" Wade looked down at her, at the new life growing inside her, at the rebuilt cabin, at the badge that represented not just law, but justice. "Everything that matters," he answered. The sun climbed higher, burning away the morning mist. In 3 days, Wade would ride to face Blackwood and whatever army he'd assembled. But for now, this moment was enough. Standing on the porch of the home he'd fought for, with the family he never expected to find. Justice for James and Tyler had been served, but the real legacy they'd left behind was just beginning. Wade Harding, once a man with nothing left to lose, now had everything to protect. and protect it he would, with his last breath if necessary. After all, that's what a Harding did. That's what James would have done. That's what justice demanded.